Medfield TV. Community shows.
Welcome to Medfield TV, where we're going to actually do a little preseason football show today. So unbelievable, it's that time of year. It seems like summer hasn't ended yet, but it's great to be talking football. I'm here with Coach Eric Ormberg. Thanks, Eric. And so we're going to start off, and then after that, we're going to bring in the team captains this year for a little Q&A.
That's great.
So Eric, let's start off. So how many years you've been? I know you've been coaching quite a while, but you know, how many years you've been coaching now?
I started coaching in 1994, the year I graduated from college, and took a year off to go to graduate school. And every year since then have coached. So I think I'm entering my 23rd year coaching high school sports.
So how long have you been involved with football?
Football the whole time. Football's been the drive. I've done track and field and softball and you know, different levels of football, but it's been 23 years of coaching at some type of high school level, which has been awesome.
Okay. And head coach, how long have you been head coach at Medfield High?
This will be my 6th season as the head coach.
Great. So one thing I'm interested in, because you read about it particularly in the professional level, how practices have changed, what the coaches are looking for, contact or lack of contact, or how to get the team prepared. So I'm kind of interested of just your philosophy and how do you get the team prepared, keeping in mind all these issues around concussions and making sure the players don't get hurt. It seems like the whole philosophy of that has changed over the years. So how do you handle that?
It's a great question, and you know, I've said to a lot of people that the game of football is under attack in all corners, and it's up to the coaches and the parents and the players to fight against that and to continue to make football a great team sport. The MIAA handed down some new regulations this year in terms of contact. What they also added that seems to get lost from the narrative is they gave us a couple of extra days of conditioning. So we were able to get the kids in 2 days earlier and do no football drills, just all conditioning drills, because they believe at the high school level, we are not given professional athletes, we're given high school athletes. Some of them are well conditioned, others might be trying this out for the first time. So, you know, we followed that stuff to a T. The amount of time we're allowed contact in preseason and during the week has become limited, but a couple of years ago we learned that lesson when we had 28 kids dressing for a game. We can't afford to lose kids during practice. We need them on Friday nights. So in many ways I feel like our staff has been ahead of the curve, and I can say this, that our players have not worked any less diligently, even though we're not hitting as much. There's a mental component, an emotional component, and a physical component to football, and we've tried to stress all three.
Right. It's kind of interesting. So you kind of made a reference to, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago when the numbers were low one particular year.
Yep.
Very noticeable looking at the sideline. There was like not many players there. So tell me about the Medfield program, because I know with a bunch of the guys that I came up with, you know, one of the issues was that the Pop Warner program was a shared program with 2 other towns, I believe. And so it was always a little noise around Medfield not having their own program as far as the numbers are concerned. So does that play into it or not, or do you still get the numbers? I mean, the last couple of years seem to be healthy, and more players are coming in.
It's an interesting take, and I think a lot of coaches have different perspectives on it. My perspective is, if I can have 75 guys from 9th to 12th grade, that's a success, because we can have 25 freshmen, 25 JV guys, and 25 varsity guys. That helps with practice, it helps with repetition. What goes on at the youth level, we've had a middle school program here, I think since Pete Carroll was here in the late 90s. And the middle school program, in many ways, is more appealing to families because it's right outside of their kids' middle school, it's right after school, they don't have to go to another town later on at night. I love Pop Warner, I played Pop Warner when I was growing up, and the fact that the kids have to travel, I think there's a strong base of people that believe in Pop Warner. I think there's a strong base of people that believe in flag football and getting the kids doing football movements without all the collisions and the hitting. So my big thing is, any kid that's coming up the ranks between kindergarten and 8th grade, if they're in a football stance, whether it's flag football, Pop Warner, or middle school, I think that's going to help. And then I think when high school rolls around, if I can get 20 to 25 freshmen come up for the team, we feel like that's a good number to work with, where when they're varsity players, there's not a lot of standing around.
Right, interesting. So kind of just one last question with that. So Has there been any pressure or anything from the Medfield schools or parents just about playing football? I mean, have you lost kids to the whole contact issue?
You know, our numbers, and I track them pretty closely, we've had between 75 and 85 kids come out the last couple of years, which is my target number. I know that each year the senior class might recruit a kid to, hey, give this a try or come try this. But we've been pretty solid and consistent. I haven't heard much of an outcry. We have tried to do, Maria Hutzik, our trainer, has been phenomenal at trying to explain to people, hey, you know, these are the signs and symptoms of concussions, and these are the risks. But there's data out there that says you're more likely to get a concussion riding a bicycle than you are playing football. So that's where I say that there's a movement out there, and it's our job as parents and coaches and players to fight against that, because we teach tackling without the head. And we drill it and drill it and drill it. When you play the game, it's a little bit different, but the kids are being instructed, I think, in a different, more efficient, safer way than they have before. So in many ways, you can make an argument that this is becoming a safer time to be playing football.
So have we gotten into, I've seen those robotic dummies.
Yeah.
I know they're quite expensive, but I think they were created, I think Dartmouth. Actually
that's right.
created them. So is any of the high schools using those? I know some of the pro teams are.
Some of the pro teams are.
Yeah.
I don't know of any high schools that have the budget to be able to be buying one of those, but we bought an open field tackling machine with the help of the Booster Club about 4 years ago.
Okay, cool.
That was, it can replicate a live tackle without person on person. We actually just purchased a couple of tackling rings that allow you to do the Pete Carroll Seahawk tackle.
So you can practice the techniques and
exactly. So we're not hitting each other as much full speed, but we can hit other objects without the head being in there. So I think we've been pretty on top of it, and you know, every program's gotta work differently to meet the needs of their program, and we all want to field a healthy team. And
all right, that's good. All right, let's drill down a little on the team this year.
Sure.
So you've been practicing for about a week and a half, couple of weeks?
Yeah, we started on Friday the 19th.
Friday 19th, okay. Opening day is next week. How's it going so far?
Well, top to bottom, and I'm not saying it just because you know you're going to talk to them a little bit, but our two captains have been an extension of the coaching staff. Their enthusiasm, their effort, and their honest-to-goodness leadership. They are not just leading stretch and form run. They are trying to match the expectation level that we keep setting, and we're trying to set it higher and higher. And that starts with the captains, and then it bleeds through the seniors down through the juniors and sophomores. So the effort that we've seen and the conditioning that we've seen when they arrived and in those 10 practices that we've had has been fantastic. You've got to fine-tune the play calling and the route running and things like that, but the overall, when we have a down part of practice, they recover. And that's what we're looking for, because we're trying to prepare them for 100 plays in a game. And they've answered every responsive challenge we've given them.
So it's funny, because I was actually talking to my brother about this last week, because I've coached a lot of sports in my life too. Football is one that's always intrigued me, because it seems like the toughest by far. You have 75, 85 kids that you have to somehow meld together. I can't even imagine how you even start that. So using your captains or help, you have a number of assistant coaches, but just to meld all that together just seems like quite a jigsaw puzzle you're putting together.
Well, that's the planning that the coaches commit to in the summer. We have a coaches summit where we meet all day. We break down the first 3 weeks of the season. We break down the specific drills that we want to accomplish, and then we adjust. You know, we have to adjust to the heat. You've got to adjust to the weather. You've got to adjust to the field conditions. These guys, the players, don't make any complaint. They come ready, prepared. We don't tell them all the time what we're going to do. We want to surprise them. We want drills at practice to be competitive. We did a tug of war last week. We did a coffin corner punt contest, and they love it. They love the competition, and that's going to bleed into the drills and hopefully the games on Friday night. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool. It's cool. It's good that you make it that much fun.
Try.
So let's talk about, so the last couple of years, the MIA has gone off to a little different route with the way they do the schedules. Do you like it or don't you like it?
There are parts of it that I love, and the thing that I've told the players is that on August 19th, every kid in the state of Massachusetts has a chance to play at Gillette Stadium, whether you're from Eastern Mass, Western Mass, or Central Mass. And I think it's important to include them because we're a very Eastern Mass-centric sport. I think the challenge becomes if you're in a non-playoff bracket, you're playing teams you're not familiar with. I think there's an impact for our athletic directors in terms of finances, travel, the gate. A lot of that stuff has to be split. It's broken up the Tri-Valley League a little bit, but at the same time, I feel like in the last 5 years, during playoff seasons, more teams have played meaningful football games in November. And that means something. If you were in a down year in the Tri-Valley League, your season could be over in September. And now that's not true. You have a chance.
That's my biggest complaint about it. But just as a viewer of it, you know, I think that is an issue. But on the other hand, if you are, like 2 years ago, was great. Got all the way to the sectional finals, played against Walpole.
Yeah.
In many ways, not really an equal game, but you guys really held your own and almost beat them.
Yeah.
But so that year was probably a great ride. Last year, little down year. Season's over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure the team still stays motivated in that type of setting?
It's a good question. I mean, towards the end of the season, we had to start looking at playing some of our younger guys. You know, guys that were on the bubble. Ryan Eamer being one, our quarterback.
Who did a great job, by the way.
Yeah, Tim Warren got hurt in the Milford game. Ryan came in, actually made it very competitive in that a couple of touchdown passes to John Williams, and all of a sudden they had to put their first defense back out there. So, you know, it's a loss in the book, but Ryan got valuable game experience. And the same thing happened the following week against Hingham, and the same thing happened against Dover Sherborne. So that's the stuff that is an investment by default through injury that's hopefully going to show up this year. Ryan's not walking in day one thinking, oh, geez, you know, what the heck am I doing here? He's got that under his belt, and he performed pretty well. He made some mistakes, but he did way more positive things than negative things. So that's part of it, and trying to instill in the guys that you have an 11-game schedule, and we're in it for 0-11 or 11-0, and they all count. The preparation, we're not going to deviate from it because we're in the playoffs or we're out of the playoffs. This is an opportunity. Seniors, your last few games to play, and underclassmen, an opportunity to be prepared when your turn comes the following year.
Okay. So looking at the schedule this year, besides every game, who are you really aiming? Obviously, the big bully on the schedule has always been Holliston for a number of years.
Well, we're focusing on Millis tonight, not to sound like Belichick.
There you go.
But we are.
Coach.
Last week was Medway. That was our first test.
Yeah.
This week is Millis. They're a perennial playoff team.
Yeah.
They have a great offensive line. They've got some great running backs. They're a neighbor on 109. You know, we see them in a passing league over the summer. So it's a nice game scrimmage for us. And for the coaches, we're on the sideline. We're not on the field with them. So to call in plays and signal plays, use our timeouts, get the kicking game going. Like, this is a huge dress up for us to be prepared for Dedham next week.
Okay. So, yep, that was a good coach's answer. but personally, I still think, you know, and so the other thing I just want to ask for a second, is there any program, team, system, anything that you look to that you want to emulate or just say to Medfield, this is where we want to be?
Yeah.
You know, we want to be, you know, the big guy on the schedule.
Yeah.
Everybody's aiming for us. Some years you've had success, some years been a little down. There's been a little inconsistency, you know, but for a couple of years we had a great run back in 06 and 07
Sure.
and 08.
Yeah. And you can put 05 and 04 in there because those teams were 9-2.
05
it was a
and
great run.
05 and 04, okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you target, just personally, when you take a look at, you know, in your mind saying, I want to have, like you said, every year I want 25, 25, 25, and that all makes sense.
Sure.
But is there some other system or is there something you look at when you look around? It doesn't have to be the Tri-Valley, other programs that you look at to say, you know what, I think they're doing a great job and I'd like to incorporate some of the things they're doing.
Well, I guess the answer to that question is a lot of it's based on my past history. You know, I grew up in Walpole and played for a phenomenal coach. I went to prep school for a year and played for another phenomenal coach. Same results, two completely different personalities. And then I went to college and played for another phenomenal coach. And then I came back, and Chuck Grant, who's the athletic director in Millis, he gave me my first coaching job. And Chuck went to 3 Super Bowls in a row. So those are all people that have influenced the way I coach. But at the same time, you know, you want it to be your own thing. And then you get influenced by other programs and what you see. And you get influenced by what you don't want to be. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of that's out there too. So
did you ever bring anybody in or somebody from your past or some other people just to come in and talk to the players?
We've always tried to hit on like we were lucky when Bill O'Brien lived in Medfield to have him come out and talk. He met with the coaches first, and talk to us about play calling, which was a great thing. We go to clinics every year. We try to meet with the people one-on-one that we know that we're friendly with and say, how are you handling this? Or what do you do? When you run a camp, what are you doing with this? And what's your off-season weightlifting program look like? We're constantly trying to tweak and adjust, refine it, and make it competitive for the players, because that, if they can compete all year round, then again, that Friday night comes, they're primed for
That's
competition.
smart. All right, one final question.
Sure.
So, as you said, you've been coaching for a long time, been in Medfield. What personally, if you had to say, what's the proudest achievement that so far that you sit there and say, this is the proudest achievement that you've made so far coaching the football team? Is there anything you can point to?
Well, I mean, from the football playing experience, when I first came on, so many people said, you know, Medfield's not competitive, they're never going to win. And we went out and won a Super Bowl in '06. And this is the 10th year anniversary of that. So that was certainly a football milestone thing. But I'm going to tell you, in all truth, 2 or 3 years after a kid graduates, you know, they might drop you an email or a phone call and say, you know, you said this once at practice. And, you know, as corny as that might sound,
No,
like
correct.
my wife reminds me all the time, you know, it's just a game. And
Right.
the quote we gave these guys the first day was, you know, sports is the unnecessary acceptance of obstacles. Like you don't have to be doing all this. I don't have to be doing it. I get 2 kids, and my wife and family, you know, they support this experience, this year-round commitment. And the personalities, the kids that you meet, the relationships you form, in all truth, you know, that's something special. That's what I had growing up. That's what I'm trying to emulate, you know, and it's not always perfect, and there's friction and conflict every year, and some people, football means different things to them, and the commitment's different. But those relationships you have, and seeing these guys in the locker room and the bus rides and after wins and losses, or going through the tragedy that the 2 young men who lost their dads last year, and they were able to lean on each other. There's something that's the human part of football that a lot of people don't see unless they go through it, and I believe in that.
Cool. Well, personally being in town for 32 years now and watching Medfield football for almost that whole time I've been here, I want to thank you, because I think you do a great job. I think you do, both being a great counselor and as well as on the field too. I think, you know, we're very proud, and, you know, to see the way you carry yourself and you carry the team on the field, I think it's all positive. So I want to thank you too for that. I think it's great. It's a great reflection on us as living in this town too. So
Thank you.
So
It's a
thanks for
privilege.
doing that.
Coaching's it's a true privilege to be able to do it,
Yeah.
because if it's done right, it can be a special thing, and I think not everybody realizes that. And to coach in a town like Medfield, where people support athletics and education, you know, that's why Medfield's a special place. Dave Gibbs said that a long time ago, and it resonates to this day.
Well, great. Well, thank you for spending a little time with us today. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to get the team captains on and
Great.
drill them down a little.
Great.
So thanks, Coach.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
You're watching Medfield TV, community shows.
Okay, welcome back. We're here with the team captains. We have James Voss and John Quinn. Glad to have you. Going to still continue our preseason football show. We just talked to the coach, as you heard, kind of in the backdrop there. So let's start. So John, I'll start with you. Why don't you just tell me, you know, we talked a little about just what it takes to get into football. So how personally, how did you get into football?
So I started football. I did play Pop Warner around 3rd grade. 3rd grade was my first year. I have a brother. He's 4 years older. So he was in 7th grade. He was starting his first year of middle school football. So me, of course, being the younger brother, I just had to play football as well. So I've been playing. I have some experience under my belt. But it turns into something bigger with the brotherhood than just a game. It get a little choked up thinking about it after last year. Brian Krabs and John Williams lost fathers. You lean on each other. It's a brotherhood. It's so much more than a game or a sport or just something you do in the fall. And if it's your first year or your 7th year playing, you feel that brotherhood within a week, and it's great. I love it.
You know, and I've heard a lot of players say the same exact thing. So there's obviously something to it. I can't think of any other sport that has that connection. Maybe because there's a lot to it. you know, all the sports, basketball, hockey, baseball, softball, has elements to that, but nothing as strong as football. And
Yeah.
so it's just curious why, but maybe it's because all the preparation, maybe it's the numbers, I don't know. What do you think it is?
Yeah, I'm also a lacrosse player as well. So we just won our 3rd state championship in a row last spring, and it's awesome. I love it. It's a great brotherhood too, but I don't know what it is either. But there's something about football that just makes you want to put your arm around the guy next to you, go out on the field and play your heart out for him. Like, everyone has their own motivations to go and play, but the biggest one for almost every player is you're playing for the guy next to you. And like, no matter what happens, you're going to give your all 110% every time. Because you know, if you don't, the guy behind you, your running back is going to get tackled by their linebacker. And like, if you don't go hard, like, that's what's going to happen. So you know you got to have your teammates' backs always.
That's great. I mean, and that's obviously a great thing about sports, and particularly football. All right, James, same question. So give me a little background. How did you get involved with playing football?
Actually, the first...
Obviously, your sister didn't play, so...
The first year I started playing football was in 7th grade
Okay.
because my dad didn't sign me up for fall baseball.
That sounds like you did.
So first, like, if you looked at me back then, you probably wouldn't think I was a football player. Probably wouldn't think I'd last the whole year, but something just made me stick with it. I think it was just putting in all that hard work with a bunch of guys. It was just something special about it, something that I always wanted to be a part of, especially looking at the high school program. You know, when you're practicing on the middle school field, you can look over and see all the big high schoolers playing. My older cousin played, and so I was just always drawn to stick with it.
So one of the things I always try to instill, particularly in the high school kids that I had contact with, you know, is to tell them the kids below you think you're kind of the rock star.
Yes.
So what do you do to make sure that you reach out to the kids, the younger kids?
I think just having a connection with all of them, just like whether it's saying hi to them or getting to know them, it's just something that I've always wanted to focus on, as being someone that a younger person can look up to as a role model, as when they're this old, what they want to do.
Yeah, that's good. How about you, John? How about something specific that you guys do, you know, purposely to reach down into the youth?
So a lot of the freshman football players, their first impression of high school is the first day of preseason football. So they've never been in the school. They don't know where their classes are. All they see are these high school guys. Like, they don't know what's going to happen. So if you're able to make that bond with them and like have the same relationship with the freshmen that you have like with your co-captain who you've been playing with for 5 years, like, everyone needs to have that strength and brotherhood, and that includes the freshmen. That includes walking down the hall, like, you're seeing a freshman a little lost, you point them in the right direction, you know, you give them a high five, you know, you're on the same team, you see each other every single day after school. Like, it's all just a huge, like, brotherhood, like I've been saying, but it's just friendship too. Like, everyone's friends. It's crazy. You hang out with each other on the weekend, like, it's football season, you're all together, and that chemistry is what can ignite a team and give you that energy and that positivity that you need. Because when it comes down to it, like, when you're in the middle of a game, what drives you is that love for football. And when you're out there with the other guys, you know everybody's playing for each other. So
well, that's good. And I encourage you guys to keep on reaching down to the youth, even below the freshmen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just, you know, because I don't think you understand until you go through it and past it, just how much these kids look up to the older kids.
Yeah, we were there. We were.
Yeah, exactly.
We would be in 4th grade going that whole year from 04 to 08, and after, that was our childhood. That was us watching the Medfield High School football warriors going out there and winning every game and setting the tone, and that's what we strive for. We had a tough year last year, but we're hoping to get back right on the reels, right where we left off 2 years ago, and excel.
Okay. Let's get down. James, what's your position?
Wide receiver and corner.
Okay. Is that what you played receiver last year
Yes.
too, in the corner? I know you can flip-flop a little, you know, depending on the needs. How about you, John?
I play middle linebacker and offensive line.
Gotcha. I could have told by 66 and 13. I knew it was something like that. But you know, so the one thing that's interested. Let's talk about the captaincy a little. So James, as a captain, I know you want to have to connect with everybody, but what kind of role are you because captains now elevate your role in the team.
Yeah.
So what more have you done this year to make sure that you're first perceived as a captain, that everybody's kind of following along with yourself? So what are you doing? What did you do to prepare for the season?
Well, I think having the upcoming years with such great captains really helped. Just knowing how to do it, they kind of prepare you. You don't even realize it. But I think before the season even started, I just really felt prepared to do it. Just to always have to do the right thing. You might think it's a lot of pressure, but by this time, senior year, it's you kind of just get used to it. It's kind of the football mentality, just always do right and just have the guys look up to you.
Okay. And how about you, John? Anything specific that you were thinking about as being a captain now?
James and I had a bunch of conversations before the season started. Last year, it was pretty intense, and a lot of guys got down when they would, look at our record, or there wasn't a bunch of team chemistry as we'd hoped on the field. Off the field, it was great, but on the field, we weren't getting the click that we'd like. So the big thing about being the captain is making sure you have that chemistry. And that means you have the energy and that positivity. And those are two huge aspects of being a successful team, because everybody needs to be out there hooting and hollering as loud as they can. Whether you play 1 snap, 0 snaps, or 100 snaps, every single guy on there has to be loud, has to be energized. And when you're on the field and you look over to the sideline and you see every single one of the guys who you've been on the field or been practicing with for the past month, and you're like, oh wow, let's go. Now I got to get going. Now I got to start playing full speed. And I mean, a lot of that just comes from us, and we have to try to bring them together. But when it's helpful to have a lot of the other seniors too. James and I can only do so much, but when we get a big group of seniors together, everyone's reaching out to the underclassmen, everybody's getting it going. It's great.
So do you have time to actually talk to the team yourselves?
Yeah, we do every time after a water break. We break it down, we bring it in, and we say a few things before warm-ups, after practice. I like to think we have a very tightly knit group this year.
So James, what are the team goals this year besides winning every game and blah blah blah? So when you get together, do you guys say, okay, here's how we want to have the team run, this is our goals, this is what we're setting ourselves up for?
Well, before the season started, it was a big goal of mine to have everybody be very close with each other, everybody know each other. It just adds a whole new element, especially when you're on the field. You don't even realize it, but just when you're good buddies with everybody you're playing with, you just feel that chemistry right away. And so that was just a big goal of mine, that from freshmen to seniors, that everybody gets on the same page, everybody's friendly. That boosts all the confidence of the younger kids, and I think it helps everyone get up to speed.
Okay. And John, what were your goals this year?
I mean, a big goal is just have everyone going full speed all the time, because some of the younger guys get a little discouraged when, if they're freshmen or a sophomore who don't play too much, and they're hearing the coaches yell, they're making them run, but they're not really getting that many reps, either at practice or in the games, and they get a little discouraged. But we try to make sure the positivity stays up and that everybody's going full speed, because we can't get the reps if they're not going full speed, and they can't get the reps if we're not going full speed. So it's a codependent way that everybody gets better, but we can only do that if everyone's trying hard.
Okay. So what, just kind of still picking up the theme, so events outside of the football field. Give me a flavor of some type of bonding things you guys do.
Oh, well, we definitely go over plays at each other's houses. We have the offense get together, hop in the pool for 5-10 minutes only, and then do about a few hours of plays, right?
Yeah,
order some pizzas. Yeah, but I mean, we definitely try to we've been doing it a few over the summer since the preseason. Just try to get everyone on the offense or defense together, go over some things, make sure we all have it solidified, and then that's when we do have fun though. We hop in the pool, we order pizza, we make sure that we're all having a good time, because you need that friendship and that brotherhood.
So unfair question, but so tell me a little about the coaching staff. Are they good, bad, indifferent? Are they tough on you? Or are they easy on you? What would you like, if you had to say something to the coaching staff, what would you tell them?
I think I never even
Play me, coach? What do you got?
Yeah, so sometimes we get to match up with them. But I think I never even realized until pretty recently how much of an impact they have on me outside of school, football. It's crazy. Like, I come back to thinking about lessons I've learned in football, and I think that's a very Medfield sense that they just have a very close impact on us, and just good relationships all around with all the coaches.
Makes sense.
They definitely.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They know how to push us, but push us in the right ways.
Okay. How about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think the greatest part about our coaches is they're not only our coaches, they're also our role models and our teachers and our friends. So they have the aspect of, it's not just a guy screaming at you, but it's someone you respect and someone you look up to who's giving you advice, and like, he's giving you the path, giving you the answers to the test. And it's your choice if you wanna follow that and you wanna succeed, and they're giving you everything you need. And our coaches are great about it. They're great with communication, great with motivation, great with everything we need to be successful.
That's great. All right, in the final minute or two, James, what are your plans for college?
I've been looking at Wentworth University in Boston,
Great.
so thinking about mechanical engineering.
Wow, okay, an easy topic.
Yes.
Right. Any thoughts on playing any sports afterwards?
They have Division III baseball, which is something that I've been looking into.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Good luck. John?
Thanks.
You know, I've been wanting to go out to the West Coast and study business technology for a while. Yeah, the business
Sounds
technology is taking off a lot there.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the future. So, football-wise, I don't know if that's in my future. I would love to walk on at a Division III school. That would be my dream, and play, because I know that right when I graduate, there's going to be a little hole missing in my heart from football that I know I'm going to have to come back and coach. I'm going to have to come back to Medfield with Coach Ormberg and help out a couple of years. I know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I would love to play, but if it's not in my future, you know, I'm all right with
So
that.
that's one thing I forgot to ask the coach. Well, I'll ask you guys. So it does seem that a lot of the kids come back and help out as being the assistant coaches, which to me is a really positive aspect of the program. So how is it that, you know, you have a lot of ex-players or former players coming back in and actually helping you guys?
I think no one really realizes that once they get away from football, how much they're really going to miss it. And I think that just draws everyone right back in, even if that wasn't their original plan. But I think that's been a big difference maker to have those guys that are a little bit closer to us than the coaches are, just because they're around our age. They were more recently players.
Yeah.
So I think that makes a big impact.
And that's great. All right, one final question. What's the proudest achievement that you can look at in your football playing days?
In my football playing days, my proudest thing, it's probably not a play or anything, but the day we heard that Brian's father passed away, it was like, you know, I saw him that day, and I hadn't talked to him too much before then. Like, we had known each other, we were on the same team, so we were kind of close, but not close enough. And, you know, you just walk over and you just give him a hug and you tell him, like, you know, I'm there for you. Like, we're brothers. Like, anything you need, like, I'm here for you. And just, like, having someone else hear that, like, knowing that they, like, believe it too, because you're teammates and you're there for each other, like, it's a whole nother level than anything football can give you.
And, you know, that's a great thing to say, and kind of speaks to the character of the players and the team. I remember the first game he came back and how you guys treated him and at the end of the game, and all kind of jumped on him and all that type of stuff. It was great. How about you, James?
I think what John said is a great moment. I think another proud moment is when we were elected captains. I think it's not just being a captain of the football team, because I know our coaches also take into account other things, like how you are as a character, stuff like that. And I think the system as it is being voted on by other players, that's an honor. And I think I've taken that more as an acceptance to lead people rather than be elevated above them.
That's great. I mean, and well-deserved, and that's a great accomplishment. Just final thing, the season's going to be over as sooner than you think.
Yeah.
Appreciate every game. You know, I see it every year, that final game on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
Well, maybe hopefully after that when you're in
Yes.
the playoffs, but let's assume whatever that final game is, it's always such an emotional game.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel for the kids afterwards, but just enjoy the ride. Just don't take anything for granted, and just appreciate every time you're out on the field. And so it's sometimes hard to understand that, but please do that. And good luck to both of you. It sounds like you have a lot of great things to look forward to, not only this year but in your future. Thanks for coming here. And so, and good luck for the season.
Thank you.
So we'll end it here. I'd like to also thank Coach Ormberg for stopping by, and James and John for stopping by. This is Rich Small for Medfield TV, and good luck to the Medfield Warriors in the football season this
Thank
year.
you.
Thank you.
Medfield TV. Community shows.